And hello, it's the normal playing guy, and we have some pretty big news. And this is Goku Black's Super Easy A. When this unit it's come full circle, hasn't it? This guy was a little bit of a controversy when he released on Global because he had a rather specific perk, and that is this, right? JP has never had this for the longest of time. It's people say it's come full circle with the fact that the physical Goku Black Rose he had a particular certain mechanic. Now that's been fixed, and of course this has been fixed. In fact, please tell me, JP audiences, please tell me you've got this. I would have thought you've got this by now. But anyway, it's another super easy A. These are really good. The leader skills never change. It's all about how do you do on the passives. That being said, it would have been pretty cool because it's a battlefield unit, which is nice. Anyway, so we have this at normal, and now we're about to see what happens when we press Super Easy A. Well, it's a lot. There's definitely more. I see super bosses, and I see a lot more. Okay, so previously we'd have had you got stats per key sphere obtained, but because you had no start of turn stats, he's a bit ass. So now here we go. So we have 50% per key sphere obtained. Right. Okay. So interesting. So that, by the way, that's not exactly a joke. It is pretty nice. If you can chain together some rainbow orbs as well, that could be pretty good. You get an additional 150% defense on attack with three or more key spheres obtained. You need at least three. Bear in mind, you'll get 150% from this plus this, but you only get that on attack. So he's definitely a floating unit. Let's see, randomly changes key spheres to rainbow, and that would mean you would also change physical to rainbow. So that's a little bit of a downside, but for the most part, it's a 1 in 5 chance that he's going to change the physical. Let's have a look. Randomly changes to rainbow plus an additional 10% of stats per any key sphere obtained when there is a Goku family enemy or when all allies in the same turn are super bosses. All right, that's good. That's really good. This bit is almost certain to be a thing. So this, in essence, then becomes 60% per key sphere obtained, which is really nice. Yeah, I can see him being useful in the Fighting Legend events, no doubt. But the fact that super bosses is a thing, because you will run him on that, then that's really nice. One key up to 5, 30% to stats up to 150 with each attack received. Okay, that can be. See, the problem is this needs to happen after you've attacked because he has no start of turn stats, which is very, very poor. But, I wonder what they were experimenting with because, like, you get this, and this will do nothing because you get 50% per key sphere obtained based off what no start of turn stats. This is probably what's more like it, right? That's more like it. But remember, you start off with just a handful of orbs. This won't matter. You could have 100k defense, but this would only bring you to 250k defense at most. And with that, it's not a fantastic amount. Super attack effect doesn't do anything. So that's not really good. Okay, technically it's 60% per, but you're still talking north of 250 just, and that's terrible. With this though, with every attack received, you can build up. So depending on how tanky he really is, you could end up with something with great, maybe, perhaps. At this point then, when this is fully built up, and you got this, and you got a chunk of orbs, say the 3, then perhaps we're looking good. Chance to crit 20% every time you attack 3 times in battle. So is that infinitely stacking? Does it just infinitely just go up by 20%? So I suppose then if you did 15 attacks, you'd have 100% crit? Maybe. Randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to physical when there's a superclass enemy. So you will get you this will proc first and you'll change possibly physical to rainbow, but then this will turn something to physical. Depending on how that is, you've got a double orb changing mechanic there. Because if this was like not including physical as well, you could basically ensure that you could get a whole bunch of orbs because this guy needs orbs, very orb hungry, and his stats, offensive and defensive, are going to wildly be just all over the place. You won't get a consistent um, go between for this guy. You just won't. Extreme class allies now get defense 30%. So he's definitely a support. I wish, to be fair, I kind of wish they made him a better support and took off some of the other abilities that he can do. Because if you're going to make a support, you might as well make him an uber support, right? You can't just slap defense 30% for all allies. While that's nice, that's just not a support. The key is probably the most important thing going for the super bosses don't strictly struggle with key because super bosses in particular is basically this. This is super bosses. He's the lead, and all these people are on super bosses, and all of them they don't really struggle for key. Every one of them, like Harudigar, is really good, but he has like a lot of key just in his own passive, and they all seem to have that going in as a way of like uh, securing themselves and being less of a burden. So the key is nice, but it's not needed. Yet it's probably the best thing on here, which is the guy's going to hit harder and going to be more defensively viable than he is now. Granted, but eh, he's disappointing as a super easy A, only because you're just not going to see a wowie zowie unit. Not unless you get the entire field of orbs. You get the entire field of orbs, and I bet he's going to be something ridiculous. But seriously, you play this under a normal pretense, and that's what I intend to do. You just, yeah, he's going to be a big liability. How many times have I jumped into a battle and the orbs haven't fallen my way, or the orbs are just one of every color, and you only get a couple of orbs? There are times when hunting for three at least means harming somebody else, putting them in the wrong particular situation. It's sometimes it's if it was just like 150% defense with one or more key sphere obtained on attack, that would be nice. If it was 150% defense period, so you could use it in slot two, perhaps, maybe, not necessarily saying slot one. Damage reduction would have helped if you had, say, 50% per key sphere obtained, and instead of getting the extra 10% if there is a super boss on your team, because it's on all allies in the same turn as well. If you just swap that 10% stats to 10% damage reduction per key sphere obtained, that would be better, because then you could have a more versatile unit. I mean, like, you got wildly varying stats, and then you have a little bit of solid damage reduction put in, versus he's a reasonable support, and then you could keep him around. So yeah, I mean, he is an orb changer, but he's going to be so the rainbow orb changing alone is going to be nice for nearly all the time, especially with super bosses. But then changing them to physical is just weird. So it's not the best. Remember, it's not as if he gets anything on his super attack effect. It's just the passive that changes. So it's interesting how they've done this. Where's he going to fit? The problem is this guy is by far better in terms of a base rose. No, even this guy in his base form doesn't appear to. Yeah, this guy. His easy A is remarkable. Like, he greatly stacks. He has multiple attacks put in, and he's a decent support as well. I believe he's only attack, but he's like 3 key 50% attack. Him is a really good defense. He's 3 key 50% attack and defense to Extreme Realm of Gods, which would qualify for this. He is an absolute monster. But like these three here, they're really really good. So which in case like the LR is also top notch. If you have him and you have him Easy Aid, he's just laughable. I mean, like in a good way. Like he just so casually just does like 20 million easy plus easy. He's a freak. But like there are better. I mean, as maybe as a standalone black, he's pretty good. But there are better Goku black units on here. So really, the only one he's better than is this guy. And this guy gives defense as well. He has the same passive. I think it might be like 2 key 30% defense, but he literally has it. And he builds up defense from his super attack effect. And he builds up from being hit. And he legitimately can help out in some low to mid level stuff. He can, just about. You'd be better off with this guy because he's a far better support. But as I say, it testing is going to be real interesting because he's just it's with no start. It's not as if he has some start of turn stats to help him out with. Because what you look at, I'm looking at this and I see. Let's say you get 3 or more key spheres, so you got 150% defense on attack. But then there's no real attack because he gets 60% per key sphere obtained, and he can build up with every attack received. But he's not. But like, he's not going to be that good. You're just going to struggle between finding a consistent amount of orbs, and it's probably honestly going to take like 6 or 7 orbs before you even get anywhere great. And 6 or 7 orbs, we all know that's just really difficult to get. So yeah, that's in mind. Link wise, I mean, he's looking okay. Big bad bosses will be a huge thing for him. With that amount of stat buffs, that might just push you over the edge. That teamed in with this touching 30%. 30% would be like having raised defense for the turn on this. It will just be a thing. So in particular, these links are going to be his saving grace. And that alone will also mean he's useful for a lot of these, right? Because he's going to have that, and he'll share these links with quite a lot. There's a lot of overlap on every single one of these teams that he's on, between future and time travelers, Realm of Gods and Worldwide Chaos, super bosses, Corroded Body and Inhuman Deed, and Worldwide Chaos in particular as well. All there. You can run an Extreme Patara. By extension, you could run an Extreme Class Kamehameha. So he has use, like he has a place. And he's not going to be terribly disappointing. It's just going to wildly depend on how many orbs you get. But that being said, it's all to be seen. Yes, he appears to have a free to play, so that's fine. Sure, but this is from the particular event. I believe it's from the the old LR event. You just drop rate's pretty crap, so probably just the best to use Kai's. But yeah, so that's great. So when it comes to this, I wonder if it will actually tell me. No, it's not going to tell me. So I was hoping I could probably bring up. In fact, let me just pause and see if I can actually bring up real quick what is actually going to be week 2. So it appears that it's actually still the same. So it's still going to be Goku family on this. So that's his weakness. So same as always. So remember, the difficulty will be once you've done his original Easy A to level 30, then it starts off at level 31 onwards. It's not like level 700. It's not level 100. Relax. It's just level 31. What gives you an advantage is Goku family has the damage reduction, but in particular, what really helps out is existing Easy A units are also a bit of a buff. So it's Goku family, it would be STR. There appears to be a pretty reasonable amount. Having a look through this, yes, you could probably choose LR AGL Super Saiyan 4. Probably that might not be too bad. And then there might be a few other units on here you could use. He could be a pretty solid unit just to potentially just have a little bit of damage reduction. This guy could probably be really good as well. Like he's easy aid and can hit quite hard. This guy has a lot of damage reduction. Potentially, what else is there? There's okay. If you can make a 200% for Battle of Wits, that actually could be pretty nice. There is the 9th anniversary. It's Carnival. It's Carnival Goku from the 9th anniversary. He would actually be a pretty decent bet because he's 200% for Turtle School. He is, you know, I totally lose him. But yeah, no, in particular, he could actually be a real good one on this. He's probably older as he is basically a year old now. Let's see if we can actually find him on this. Uh, anyway, yeah. So you bring him out and he actually could be pretty good. So for which case, yeah, that's fine. Let's have a look. He must be. Then looking at some other. Oh, this guy could be fairly decent. This guy could actually be fairly good as well. There's not going to be much in the way of support. Kaioken Goku, he could blast through this. Namek Goku. Right. Namek Goku and Super Saiyans. You could make a Goku family with Super Saiyans, and that could be really good. Again, Goku family and Cell Saga could actually be really good in that. So yeah, you could actually make a pretty decent team for this. Remember, easy A units also would help for the most part. But anyway, yeah. So that's his Super Easy A. It's mid. It's honestly terrible. Only because I just cannot. I cannot ascertain how he's going to be. Like he doesn't have any extra increase in stats. These are all. This is his normal easy A stats, so they don't get any more. So again, I mean, these numbers at 55%, they're nothing special. This is kind of and it would take you even at 100%. It's, I mean, he's an old unit. When did this guy come out? 2017. His easy A was 2019. Yeah, so he's like 7 years old. He's not a great unit, and it's going to be down to, well, I don't know. I don't know. Let's super easy A him. Let's of course test him out, and then we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I've been a normal playing guy, and you've been a lovely audience. Let me know if you like him. I hope he's good. I really do. But yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you and bye bye.